I'm going live, my friends. This is the hat I should be wearing. I don't know. I haven't worn the purple one in a while. I need to shave. I don't care. You get to watch an old guy sit here, drink coffee, and listen to the rain. All right. So, how have y'all been? I haven't done up. This is the first podcast this year. I'm doing it on all platforms. It'll be streamed onto my other regular podcast, but you get to see me this time. And I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. You have to look at me. I have a little bit of time here today, and you ask where am I sitting my phone right now to show you my elaborate setup. I'm like this gentleman I was watching videos of earlier. He's a monk, and he lives in a seclusion in like this camper. Very very fascinating guy, and he was showing his setup for how he does things, and it's like, well, it's not exactly the Ritz. I took a shower here. I wanted to take some time, and I wanted to talk about some of the equipment that I have bought. And if you're smarter than me, you will buy it now when CD Summit has a sale, and not when I bought it. So I'm going to talk first about this pot. This the Alpha pot. I love this thing, and it's one of the things I bought for myself. I was going to show you guys it today out in the field, but that didn't work too well. It's pretty bad out there. You see how the handle locks for the sake of time. You place it like so, and you lock it. You're ready to go. There we go, just like that. I'm a big proponent of, you see my teapot, I'm a big proponent of, having everything in its own little container. Like the smart way when you're getting ready to go camping, when you're going hiking, whatever, just have everything you need that you're going to use in that. That means you might have a container like this with your fire starter, different things just for fire. I always carry a little, looks like little bellows, little pocket bellows, and carrying everything in there. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there. Where did I put that? And you're always in a situation that's not ideal, and you want to get out there and you want to use the equipment, and hey, it's not always available. Um, to have time to look through all your gear, especially your backpack, and it might be at the bottom, or it might have fallen out, or you might have put it in somewhere in a pocket, and then you'll spend the entire time saying I didn't bring it along, and you get home and go, oh, it was right there all along. Well, you're not going to do that with some of these things. This is a nice aluminum pot. I like about it that it has 1.5 liters. It'll hold more, but it's marked for 1.5. Marked on the inside there. Pretty nice. See it on the outside too. It has all the instructions to see this on it. And since I'm not using it, I really feel stupid opening it in here with this. But to show you, I like the handle, but I don't like it. I think it could be improved. I know Fire Maple makes one that closes. Whatever. The lid for this thing is really nice. It's got a handle for it here that has silicone on it, and you can use this thing to get rid of all that excess water if you want to strain something. I really like that pot. I haven't really had a chance to use it a lot lately. I said I've had a lot of health problems. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. You can hit me up with that. My actual thing I have to use sitting on right now is a cat tower. So my cat is a little bit unhappy that she wants to be in this. She wants to be in on this. Uh, this is my teapot. You know, it's very small. It's the smallest one. I've shown it to you before. They make a bigger one, and they make one with a um, vented bottom that's supposed to distribute the heat better. Kind of cool. But I didn't need all that. I went simple, and I talked about it out in the field that I was going to use this thing. Okay, guy just almost took out half my driveway there. Um, Nice. It even has, it's everything you need in a teapot. It's simple. It's got the silicone handles on it. It, as I said before, when you use it, you want to push in. Just do it, and they kind of lock on it right there. It's got these rivets. And it's made by Red Camp. I'm sorry. For wanting to do this, I'm really not like Outdoor Gear Review where he's spot on every word. It's unbelievable how just prepared he is when he does one of these. I'm not here to promote anything. I'm just saying what I like, what I bought. Um, Added a paracord string to this. I didn't like the way it was originally made, so putting that down is a little difficult sometimes. That's one thing I don't like about it. When I first got it, it seemed like these things here were too tight. So it just took a matter of me just going like this with my fingers, loosening them a little bit, and making sure it's still locked in because that's what it's for. No fancy adventures today, my friends. We are having a weather event, shall we say. And I'm watching, as we speak, pieces of my neighbor across the road of their double wide being ripped off. Yeah, it's something else out there today. It really is. I am not perturbed by the weather. It doesn't bother me. I actually walked out for the mail. Walked out to the post office for my mail, and people are just looking at me. And I thought, well, maybe I should be working for the post office. You put everything in there, close it up. Works really good. Another thing I managed to pick up from Sea to Summit was this Delta Bowl. I was talking about it. It's something I like to have. I'm not a big person that carries a lot of food with me. Um, I know when my younger brother walked the Appalachian Trail, he actually did it without taking any food with him or even a pocket knife. I was like, man, how'd you do it? This has a nice silicone bottom. I forget what they call this. It's a special material that is a beehive um, pattern, and it holds it holds the heat off of you better. But main reason I got this, and they're a great Australian company, is the lid on this seals really, really well. You see that right there? It has this, like, these three fins. There's three of them. And you can put water inside of this, close it down, or food. Um, Anything that liquid, it shouldn't leak out of it. I wouldn't throw it in there and just throw it in there and be like, oh, it's just gonna. Anything you throw liquid into your pack, even a water bottle, you don't want to have anything that's electronic around it or anything you don't want to get wet because eventually, what's the old saying? If it can happen, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen. It's going to get wet. I really like this a lot. A few other go-tos here, but I'll leave that for another day. Leave that for another day. So, I hope you all had a wonderful New Year. Like I was saying, I'm looking outside here, and the weather is awful. I'll show you. Look at that. You get these big gusts of wind. It almost makes you feel like you're in a hurricane because you have these gusts of wind, and they're ripping the siding off of that double wide that's down there. The whole one side on the front facing, the panel is ripping off. I've been watching pieces of it peel off as we're speaking. Um, Not to be taken lightly, let me tell you that. It's it's something, man. They called for snow. I am glad this is not snow. Um, I was kind of hoping for it though. I was watching um, Outdoor Unsupervised 2.0. Another Pennsylvania guy. Really like his channel. Check him out. He was saying that he's going to Florida. There's a gust of that wind. It actually made the room shake here. Um, Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Um, yeah, look at it now. Everything's moving. Come on. Focus for me. See a tree? Look at that tree over there. Ah, I can't win on this thing, man. What's this button do? Ooh, colors. No filter. I don't need a filter. What did I do? Okay. I'm still learning on this thing, but you can. Now it's really not doing it. That tree was just swinging like this. It was going like that. There used to be this really big um, pine tree that was over there, and my neighbor Tom Creed, he was a guy that did the ham radio. Talked about him on my other podcast where it's just me talking. That he actually passed away on my birthday a couple of years ago. It was really sad, but he lived in a trailer right over there, and all of his woodworking was made in a little garage. He was a very humble man. He worked at a Vulcan mold up in my Latrobe and was pretty amazing at the way that he could cut metal. He was very precise, and he took that into his millings with a milling vise with wood and did a lot. And I sat there for when I moved in here, he was like a grandfather figure, and learned a lot from him just by observing. He wouldn't necessarily tell you a lot, but pretty practical man, and I do miss him. I do miss him a lot. And so when I look over at what he used to call his tin can, which is what the guy in the one video I was telling you about that's a monk, he said about his tin can. I was kind of like laughing to myself. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Tom Creed, and Tom would go to all these different places, looking at coke ovens, to different places. The old town he grew up in is Josephine, is a ghost town now, in Indiana County. Some coffee here. My throat's getting better. I'm actually made it 14 minutes, rambling like a. You guys are getting your money's worth. You get to watch an old guy sit here and drink coffee and watch it rain. So, what I was saying, man, like Tom was one of those people that really inspired me to see more than I would have. I mean, my father always had a very eclectic view of life, but I moved here because the situation in Ligonier, I was talking about last night. Yesterday when I was walking, um, it wasn't great in Ligonier. My dad worked for my uncle and aunt. He helped them run a motel after he got out of finance. And my uncle John, who was a gunny sergeant in the Marine Corps, he was decorated. He had medals, unbelievable. World War II in Korea. John was at Saipan. John had lived with us. He had a lot of nightmares, and he would sit there and he would. John would have a lot of problems, and he drank pretty heavy. In fact, yesterday when I took you down there by the uh, Tin Lizzie, my uncle used to drink at the fire hall there. So one day, my uncle's down there drinking, and he walks back, and he's had a few. And I heard this story not from anybody in my family, but I was in Walmart one day, and this guy walked up to me, and an older guy, and it was like, when someone's going to invade your space, and you don't know what they want. In this day and age, it's like, okay. Now this gentleman walked up to me, and he said, "Excuse me," and I'm like, "Okay, what now?" you know. And he says, "You're Pete's son. You're Skelly's nephew," and I'm like, "Okay, that's really going back. If you figure my uncle died in '89." Like, yeah. He saw a man. He says, I saw him one time drunk walking across that road, and he says, car came by and hit him, and he rolled, and he stood up, and he gave that car the certain gesture, and he just kept walking. And I said, yeah, that's him. That's him. But he had been hit by a car. He had been in his 70s, and he'd been hit by a car. We lived in Ligonier. And at that time, a lot of people didn't understand what people went through with PTSD, especially some of our servicemen. Those are zebra finches. And he, wow, this is a lot of memories here. But John had been hurt pretty bad, and he'd just lay there. And I forget what the story was. I don't know if people helped him to his apartment or if he. But anyhow, he laid there. He had a broken leg, and the man had been through the war. He had had all kinds of injuries. Um, you didn't want to stand next to him in a lightning storm. There was so much metal in him. So John had Champus, which was the VA at the time, would help pay for it, and they left him out on the street. Left him out on the street. My dad called to the commandant of the Marine Corps because he knew him, and he goes, John's kicked out of here, and this isn't right. And Jesse says, he goes, man, he goes, that's John Semo he says, what is this world coming to? What are we treating our veterans like? He said, let me make some phone calls. So he made a few phone calls and got him a few more years. He lived with us. And of course, my aunt and uncle were not fond of, my aunt was not fond of her brother. He had alcohol problems. It's an uppity town. Let's not go into details. They had us move here, or we chose to move here, or we were forced to move here to, once again, the story of my life, take care of people and help take care of people. So we did that, and what was my story about this? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Email me later, okay? But I don't want to be those people that every time somebody comes in, you're like, hey, and then, you distract. But my Uncle John, I came from this family of service, and this guy walking up telling me about it was pretty profound. So we moved here, and it was very different. Ligonier didn't have this place doesn't have anything living here. I'd put it that way. Like, it's very rural. I like it in some ways. In some ways, I really don't. A lot of ways, I really don't. I keep to myself. I'm kind of private. Like, I was saying, the guy that lives in the tin can, and things have changed a lot. I came here and I had Tom, Ethel, Chuck Bishop. I could tell you stories for days about these people, and it was a really close knit community. And as I've found, a lot of these older people passed on, and I'm the old guy now. A lot of the younger people don't value community like I grew up with, and it's really sad. It's really sad. I have a certain situation I dealt with last year that was an example of it. You know, I'm always busy, and I try to like give people their space. If you have somebody that's crazy, and you know they're crazy, and they're making crazy comments, you want to just, buddy, you stay there. I'll stay here. I don't want bothered, okay? Because uh, when you're a writer and all that, and you don't bother people, people will tend to make up stories to try to find out what's this guy's story. Why does he live with all these cats? There's a guy in Ligonier one time when I was a kid who always walked by and always he was a writer, and I as a kid would do that. You know, so I'm not saying that I don't do that. This thing's like okay, but it really was pretty cool to have all those people around here as teachers to me. And now it's kind of like everything's different. The buildings, that double wide one there, but um, the buildings are all the same, but the people aren't. And going back to what I was saying about, I remember it now. See, I didn't forget. The big tree was swaying. I got 12 minutes out of that. Now, come on, that's pretty good. There was a big pine tree there. Tom Creed, his family had lived in that house. And for Christmas, that was their Christmas tree. And they planted it. They planted it right there. And it got bigger. And it got bigger. And it got bigger. And it was massive. Like this tree was, it must have the best water and the best fertilizer or something because it just, it was like something out of nature, really. Like it was a force of nature. Something out of nature. Well, of course it is. What I had was this. We always had this big tree there, and it was great when Tom was here, you know, because a pine tree like that will actually nothing will grow under it. So it was kind of neat, and I I watched them cut it down. And it made me sad, but I understood it had to be after Tom passed away, and I'm watching these guys up on that ladder. I was thinking about it because my cousin does that, and I just happened to a couple of years ago. I went up and a dead limb on my tree. There's one of these stories. You have something you do in your life, and you know you're going to be telling a story the rest of your life because it was your own stupidity. Okay, birds like at the window. Did you hear that? So I'm up on the tree, and I'm like that limb is going to fall and it's going to hurt somebody. So I thought I'm going to hurry. Got my ladder out. I've done it a million times, and I took a rope. I didn't have a saw on me. Thank God. That might have been worse. But I got up and I tied a rope around it. It was like where one limb was here, the one I had to get, and this limb was here, and there's another limb, but they're smaller limbs. So I had them with the weight against it to where I could get a rope. And I was up a good 20 feet. And when I fell, well, actually, when the ladder fell, it landed and I had nothing to grasp onto. And as my neighbor who took me to court says, "You were like a Plinko chip, boy. You were hitting every branch on the way down." Thank you so much for putting it that manner to me. Really, like, just like, so I don't remember very much. I remember it falling and trying to catch myself and realizing I'm not going to catch myself. And I landed like 15 or 20 feet, depending on how you want to put it, right on my back on that ladder. It knocked me out cold. And I guess my teeth cracked together. Um, Eyes were bloodshot. I ripped my fingernail because I tried clawing to hold on. I had an embolism right here on my arm. It was like this bubble of blood, busted ribs, you name it. And I'm laying there, and uh, I come to, and it's like my neighbor's girlfriend with a chew of snuff in her mouth, and don't get up, boy. It ain't good for you. Just stay right. I'm just sitting there thinking, and I started passing out again. And I thought, I don't want this to be my last moments. Okay. So I stood up. I managed to stand up, and it was the height of the 2019 thing that we had happen, and it really messed me up. I could stand up, and I refused medical care. And what did I do? I was like calling my boss, like, I don't think I'm going to be in tonight. What it did, and I'm starting to realize this, I just had health problems. Oh my God. You break ribs, it never heals right. You got muscles and ligaments and all these other things. Whiplash from my neck. I don't walk like I used to. I don't have the endurance I used to. And I catch myself doing something and realizing, I probably should not be doing this. But I had a tooth break on me this year, past year. It was a weird thing because I don't have really that many dental problems. It was just like, oh, that feels weird. And all of a sudden it was like you took a chisel. And it kind of has me a little afraid. I don't know what other damage I did. Dentists really can't find anything, when you're looking at it. But yeah, I felt pretty hard. And when you do have damage to your body like that, you realize that you can't hike like you could. So, who do I have on here? I'm going to see how this works. And I just came in. I'm not like these fancy people that have the big computers, so hope you're all doing fine. I can't even read your chat. What if I do it this way? We're going to see. Can I watch myself? I'm kind of new to this. I was talking to Kimberly about it. Hmm. See, it's not up yet, but I could technically go live. Watch myself while watching myself. Isn't that cool? I'm not doing that. Don't mind me, guys. I'm like a little kid here, okay? I'm a little kid at heart. But anyhow, I had this tooth chip on me, and I realized just how hard it is to find a dentist or a doctor or anything when you need it, and it never used to be like that. And I've had a lot of health issues. I had the thing that was been going around for the past few years. I had it really bad. I lost my smell and taste, still chest pains, and I think kind of anytime you've been hurt or anywhere you've been hurt, it makes it 10 times worse. It kind of like takes all those ailments and it just knocks you out, literally knocks you out. And I've been for the past few months trying to get better and realizing that there is just like when I broke my back, like I'd wake up every morning and I would go on. I would sit there and think, can I sit up in bed? And it took me about 15 minutes. So I'd sit there and the first thing I do, go on my phone and I'd look at like people like Brian that has ALS, different people, and see how inspiring they were. And they were in a lot worse situation than I'll ever be in with a broken back. I'm going to get potentially healed to the point where I'll be fine. And then so I use that to kind of get my mind, because I think a lot of things, it's like when they say in survival, it is survival. it's your the biggest battle is that mental battle that you're fighting against your own, just why me, all these things. And but my point being is that, with all this, I've kind of hit like a plateau of what I can do, that, and it's not what it had been, and I catch myself with different times where I can't do what I used to be able to. So, what you do in that situation with your health is, you take small evaluations every day. You wake up and you have good days, you have bad days, you have days where you might wake up and feel like you're having an issue with your chest. I don't know if it's a rib, not know what, that's what I've been dealing with, and I just don't have the energy anymore. So I want to go out and do more hiking. I think it's very important that we get out in nature and take our time and try to be free that way. But when you have medical issues and you don't have a lot financially, because I've done so much for other people, I've never worked a job. I made a lot of money, and I took what skills I had to help other people without opportunities. And I always thought that, hey, when happens to me, I'm going to be able to go and people will help you. But I'm finding out right now, like even with people like my uncle that passed away last February, that it's a tough world right now. He had a lot of issues with bladder cancer, and trying to get him help was really really hard. So my whole pull away from this for all of you to take into perspective. I was talking to 2.0 out there and out east here. I was telling him about that messaging just on there about life, and about my father. Well, I know what it was about. I was thinking about how to tie prusik knot onto a hammock, because he without any metal. Because what I do is I have the hammock, I have the rope tied around it, which is your am steel, and I have the ridge line tied to that on both ends with a prusik on each end. And what it does is you don't need any kind of metal, nothing. It's all just the rope itself. And if you tie it right, it makes a figure triangle, like a figure three, and it holds it. So we got into talking, and I was saying about, this is the room my father passed away in, pancreatic cancer, and I was saying about just how much I've learned from him, and trying to carry on what I've learned. And his father passed away the same thing. We have so many things in common, that he had dealt with a stroke. So watching him come back, I think it teaches a lot of the same things. I think his faith is another very important thing, um, in how he lives his life. And I hope I do that too. I'm not perfect by any sense of the word. I'm gonna see this for a second. All right. That's Valerie's sister messaging me, getting back to me after something I sent her a while back. And it's going to be 10 years that she passed away. Just thinking about that, I wanted to. Okay, I'm going to get to that. What I was saying about faith and everything is very important to keep that mental fight going. And there's things going to happen. Like I could be sitting there and have another tooth break off because of the impact of that fall. It could have cracked one of them, and they don't see it. It can very easily happen. And it cost me, like, out of pocket, unbelievable amount of money last year to get that fixed. And when you live modestly, you see that the people, like, I had a very good friend that was a dentist of mine that took care of me until he passed away. That those people are true angels in your life. They really are. And not even to look at it religiously, but be an angel in people's lives. not just about making money. Money's fine, but money is a thing to purchase other things. And what it is it's a symbol. It's a piece of paper. It's a number. What really matters is the time you have here in the human heart, because you can have all the money in the world, and if you're not here, you're not here. So uh, take care and do good for other people. Going back to Valerie, walked up by the near the high school yesterday, and I kind of thought about her. I don't go into details about her, but she she moved away for a while in like junior high, came back, and she was always a big fan of my poetry. So what I would do every day, and this is what got me into poetry and still have all these poems, is what is there? Uh, so what I would do every day is I would go and write at least two, maybe three poems, and I would take them that night and I would make copies on my dot matrix printer to school, and I'd see her in the hallway, and I knew exactly where we'd meet during class every day. I had it down pat. It was perfect. And Val was loved my who's this? All right. So Valerie would read my poetry, and she'd tell me like, "Hey, that was good," or "That wasn't good," and it was a very personal thing for me. I didn't really do a lot of poetry uh, to share until some of it leaked out to some of my teachers, and they were like, "Hey, Will, this is some really good stuff." And I had a teacher, Mr. Markowitz, that he really just taught literature. And I said to him one day, I'm like, "Hey, man, give people a chance to write." Maybe there's a literary magazine, and it really showcased a lot of the stuff that I'd written and other people. Got to see how much talent there really was out there in 1997. Um, I enjoyed my time out there, but I really think about Valerie. When she passed away, I was out hiking, and I was up at Beams Rocks, and I just had a weird feeling. And I pulled out my phone, and I'm like, "That's really nice. That's really nice." Someone said that. What? And it was just like that. Like it was just because I just talked to her. And I wrote that book, Valerie, about her poetry wise. There's a lot of things in between the words. Really, a person I loved a lot, really cared a lot about, and somebody that you could rely on. Like I mean, she was one of the best human beings I ever knew in my life. I wrote that book very cathartically, trying to deal with the pain of loss. And with that loss, I wrote some very personal poetry. And time goes by. The cover of that book, I believe, was the day of her funeral. I didn't actually go. I went hiking in the Shenandoahs up on Stony Man. I wrote her name with my finger in the dirt. And my point being to all this is I wanted to, 10 years, I wanted to write something and another book. And this is why I haven't had a book out in about a year. I was planning on that, looking at it, and even talking to, her sister and other people. But I thought, it's a very personal pain that maybe some things I don't just need to dwell on and share. Maybe some of that poetry in this book will come out someday down the future. It's just too close right now. It's really just too close, and I'd rather just spend that personally because it's not what's grandstanding. I don't get a lot of money from these books. I don't really expect to. Even though people buy them, I'm glad you do. A lot of people get it for free on here. So, just a little follow up for you guys. It's windy out today. Stay safe. Uh, Stay healthy. I'm not getting into all my health issues. Like, I'm the old guy that has all the health issues. It happens, you know. Like this this stuff. You fall, you get hurt. Some things heal, some things don't. I am going to really push myself this year to try and do little things mentally and physically to deal with things better. Because last year, with that tooth, I sat there for 3 months working with these dentists and going, I can't get anybody to see me. You know, do you want me to sign my book? It's a different world, man. It's a different world out there. Um, Anyhow, guys, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Okay, I did. It was simple. You all saw my tree, the one that the wind took away. Isn't that crazy? The day you take your tree down, the wind just like, hey, it's mine now. um, yeah, yeah. I was telling people you can take the different. I did a video on different parts of the tree that you can not air layer, but you can get it to root and start new trees with. It's something that the Audubon Arbor Day Foundation has done for many, many years, which is why really all of their pine trees that they gave away were all pretty much clones, I believe, cloning it. And so if you buy a live tree and it's something that you want to keep the spirit of, you can make all these little baby trees, find a place and plant them, and yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it works. I did a video on it, and people that was probably the one people liked the most or didn't like the most, or I got some weird comments. I got one the other day. It was just like rambling nonsense, and I just learned to just I don't answer them. I don't answer them. It's like, okay, you are entitled to your opinion. I am not so soft-skinned that I'm going to get mad and furious and sue you. Whatever people do these days uh, over my ego. You know, it's not who I am. True writer takes the criticism to heart and says, hey, you know, maybe you need to find a different person to read. maybe you should start reading nonfiction. Which poetry actually is nonfiction. I didn't know that. Okay, I'm rambling. I hope you guys had, like I said, a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. Start this new year out. You know, I'm not one for having New Year's resolutions, but I think remembering who you are, knowing who you are. There's an old Cossack saying in Zaporozhye that they used to say, know yourself. My dad's dad used to say that. He don't know himself. Knowing yourself, Pete, is the most important thing you can do. Knowing yourself. And you get drunk and say, you need to read this Bill of Rights and U.S. Constitution. You need it memorized, the whole thing. And this is very, very important. This is why this is what makes this country special. You go on and on. And my dad had all these great stories, but knowing yourself is the most important thing. And this year, knowing yourself, making goals that are realistic, and making baby steps to reach them. What was that? No. Okay, I'm gonna get going. It's a sign. Tell me if you like this. I'll do more of them. I hope to do more in the future. The podcast thing is better on here. I like it better. Being out live in the woods, it doesn't always give me the clearest picture. And even though I really enjoy it, I'm just amazed at where I don't have signal, and I wish I did. It just I wish I could take you guys with me. I'll have to probably do those videos and edit them. I don't like doing that, but all right, signing off.